Today is a great, amazing, incredible day, and I'll tell you why. Because it is a Sweden day. Inside the country that pays immigrants $34,000 to leave. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
This is Sweden, the country that will pay immigrants $34,000 to go back home.
Wow, what did I just watch? Did you see that? Oh my god, that's Sweden. Sweden, is that you?
This is Sweden, the country that will pay immigrants $34,000 to go back home.
Why would you even place people to live here? You placed us in one area and then they just put all the bad things on us. We're like the scapegoat.
So Sweden has never been like this blue-eyed, blonde country. The idea of a national state is old.
We have as many bombs.
This is out of context. Clearly, this is like clipped. So I'm not gonna like judge what she's saying. She said Sweden has never been a blue-eyed blonde country. It has been a, well, I mean, some of you don't have blonde hair. Do you know what I mean? It is a European nation. The natural inhabitants or the indigenous people of Sweden are Caucasian, tend to have blue eyes, brown eyes sometimes, but fair skin, blonde hair, straight hair, that type of stuff. Yeah, you are the indigenous people of Sweden. But I think what she's trying to say is the national state, the nationality of being Swedish. You can be a Swedish black person, Asian person. Swede is a nationality. But I also feel that being Swedish, just like being British, is also not just a nationality, holding a passport and saying that you're Swedish, but it's a cultural identity. And that's what I've been learning on this channel. If you've been around with me for this amount of time, you know I love Sweden. And it's much more than just, oh, I'm Swedish now that I hold a passport. No, there's a cultural identity, there's a cultural way of being, there's a way that Swedes are like, right? There's a agreed way of being. That's how you have a national state. You all agree this is how we act in society. This is what a Swede is supposed to act like. These are our morals, these are our values. So what she's saying could be taken out of context, but I'm going to continue watching because it's like 30 minutes long. I'm probably going to split this into two because this subject's really interesting, and we're going to have a chat. Me and you, we're going to have a chat about this. This is very interesting. Let's go. Oh, did I put on subtitles? I don't need subtitles. It's in English. Let's continue.
Bombings per capita as in Mexico.
2 people are dead in a knife attack.
Wait, what did you say?
National state is old.
We have as many bombings per capita as in Mexico.
Wow.
2 people are dead in a knife attack at an IKEA store in Sweden.
Mohammed, du kommer inte upp här. Därför han högg mig med en kniv. Såg ni det?
Sweden began to experience.
Bro, that's scary as hell. Oh my god. You know, is your heart racing? He said, Mohammed, you're not coming in here, and he stabbed him and then threw a brick through his window. Where are the police? Call the police. But there's more to that story. Like, there's not immigrants climbing in people's windows and doing. That's gang affiliation. It has to be.
A surge in gang violence, drug trafficking, shootings, grenade explosions, gang rapes, and other violent crimes when 163,000 migrants fled to Sweden during the refugee crisis in 2015 from countries like Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq, leading the Swedish public to wonder if integration was possible and if the benefits of importing third world migrants were worth the diversity and cheap labor they brought. With some Swedish politicians using the rise in crime to argue for less open borders, others fear it may lead to unjust vilification of many peaceful, productive migrants seeking a better life away from their war-torn country. But does multiculturalism work? Does Sweden want more migrants? Are these migrants trying to assimilate into Swedish society? And what does it mean to be a Swede in 2024?
Your thoughts on?
He said, are they trying to assimilate into Swedish society, but also is the Swedish government doing enough to help them assimilate into Swedish society? Do you know what I mean?
on migration?
I think it's a good thing, because some people, people from places like, for example, Ukraine or Palestine, they need somewhere to go. We have, unfortunately, the government in Sweden is a little bit, racist, I think.
Okay.
So,
Are there any negatives you've observed or heard of?
Yeah, of course you see all these shootings and stuff like that, but it's what it is.
Sweden is...
I feel like people are scared to say what they really feel. It's sad. It's sad because we need to talk about the elephant in the room. I am not afraid of talking about the elephant in the room. The bad, the good, the ugly. It swings both ways. The government are at fault. There are immigrants that are at fault, but that's because of their background and where they've come from and the situation that they're in. There's a lot of people at fault. There are a lot of people that need to answer for why the situation is the way it is. And yeah, it's not one size fits all. It's not point the finger at the government. It's not point the finger at the immigrants. So we just need to unpack this. Let's unpack this.
It's a very interesting place for multiculturalism. Yeah. I lived here in 2012 and it was very homogenous at that time. I noticed, this is my first time back in 12 years, and I noticed that it's become a little bit more diverse. I'm not sure necessarily how Swedes feel about that diversity.
What specifically?
So it was homogenous in 2012. So this multiculturalism is very new to Sweden. It's a new phenomena. Wow. Do you know what? I kind of wish I had traveled to Sweden in 2012. Because 2012, I was a young adult, and I wish I did more traveling, and I wish I saw Sweden before then and gone back now and just see the change. Sadly, I will never see that because I want to see is it a change for the good? Is it a change for the bad? I'd love to compare that. So, yeah.
Do Swedish people gain from the importation of third world migrants?
I mean, I work in the healthcare system, and I have colleagues coming from all over the world, and we need those people. So for the moment, birth rates are going down, and we really need to even out the population pyramid.
I think Sweden has an obligation to let people from other places in. Let's say a refugee.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
We at least did have the finances. I think that we should be a helpful country. I think it's important to be open, but I also think that we need to be responsible to the people that we are welcoming to this country to make them integrate as good as possibly can be done.
I think.
Well said. Very balanced, very measured. Everything she said, I agree with. I think all countries, not just Sweden, I don't know, in the European Union, there needs to be a quota. Maybe there is a quota, but there needs to be this is how much each country in the European Union is going to take in terms of immigrants. Who has more immigrants? Okay, Sweden has too many. We need to send some more to France. Do you know what I mean? Well, France has loads. But anyways, I do believe what she said was true. We have an obligation to help other people if we can. As nations that prosper, as Western nations, we do have an obligation to take in immigrants or asylum seekers. However, it needs to be done in a measured way, and we need to do it to a point. You can't just throw people, okay, we'll take you in, throw you all in one area and not give them jobs, not teach them Swedish, not integrate them into society. Otherwise, you're going to get discourse. We've seen this happen time and time and time again in countries all around the world. It's happened in America, it's happened in Britain, it's happened everywhere. But for some reason, countries keep on doing it. They do not reform their policies. They do not put in place measures to have an integration system where you integrate migrants properly. And you see it in these countries where what happens is they end up in poverty, they end up being on benefits, they end up being bored, young people are bored, they end up getting into gangs, gang violence, drugs, alcoholism. It's a spiral and we need to break it. Someone needs to talk about it. And then, do you know what? Sometimes I feel, this is a conspiracy a little bit, but sometimes I feel like you know, the government knows this happens, and they're like, well, I guess we can use it to our advantage. How about, like, if there's any problems with inflation or anything else, that we just blame it on the migrants. Just say, you know, it's the immigrants that come in here, they're taking your jobs, that's why there's no jobs. The immigrants that come in here, they're taking your houses, that's why there's no houses, that's why houses are so expensive. Like, just blame it all on the immigrants. And I feel that's the reason why they don't fix things. Because it's like, well, we could probably use this to our advantage. Does that make sense? But anyways, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Let's continue.
I think the general idea now in this country is that we want to be more reluctant in letting in too much because we've seen how things can escalate.
The remigration concept, I'm sure you've heard of it.
I don't think that's going to work.
Okay.
To be honest.
Do you think it'll be effective? Will people go home if offered the sufficient amount?
That's great.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Depends on what country, and I mean, it's always a
Okay,
difference.
so this is where things get a little more nuanced,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I've heard that.
Depends what country, right? You can't just send them back to their home. It's a war-torn country. Oh, yeah, we'll pay you 34 grand, but you have to go back to, I don't know, Syria, like, where they're still fighting, or wherever where they're still fighting. And be like, well, no, I'm not going there. Why would I go to another country? He needs to explain what this... I've not heard about this scheme, this 34,000 scheme. I don't know if it's true. I need to know more.
That they are enacting some new things. They're trying to, with like paying some people to leave. I think they have lots of room and lots of opportunity to spend their money in better ways. And I think it's already hard with getting like a personal number and things here. So I think there's a lot more that can be done for immigrants coming to Sweden.
Why is diversity good in your opinion?
I think we need skills and competence from other countries. I also think that we do get a lot of benefits from other cultural aspects. Food.
What are your thoughts on multiculturalism here in Sweden?
Yeah, it's like a big melting pot.
Does it work well?
Yeah, it works. Yes.
You consider yourself a Swede?
No.
No? Why not?
Different culture. I have different culture.
What does it mean to be Swedish?
Hear what he said there? So do you see yourself as a Swede? No. And he says, why? He says, different culture. That's interesting to unpack, right? Like, do you consider yourself... If someone asks me, do you consider yourself a Brit? I say, yeah. They'll be like, why? I'll be like, well, culturally, I'm British. Like, I grew up in Britain. I went through the school system. I'm British in culture. But I'd also say I'm British Jamaican, even though... Why? Culturally, because my grandparents are from Jamaica. So there's certain aspects of Jamaica that's in my cultural way of being. But he's saying that I don't feel Swedish at all. And I wonder how long he's been in Sweden. Has he been in Sweden a long time? Because if he has been in Sweden for a long time and doesn't consider himself Swedish, then that's a problem for Sweden. And that is the reason why you're having a lot of the problems with the immigrants. They don't see Sweden as their home. What happens when you don't see somewhere as your home? You don't treat it as such. You will not take care of where you live. You will throw trash outside. You will fight in the streets. You will just have things in disrepair. You won't care because you don't feel integrated into society. You don't feel like this place is your home. You're just a visitor here. So you won't treat it with respect. I'm not saying all immigrants don't treat it with respect, but, you know, there are immigrants that do. They're like, well, this is not my home. I don't want to be here. I'm only here because I have to be. So something needs to be done. And I don't know. I don't have the answers, but let me know in the comment section if you have any suggestions, because...
In my opinion, Swedish means to be open, to be interested in internationalism.
I think that we should be more welcoming and like trying to get them into this society, because now it's more like they get casted out into these like cities outside the city.
All right.
And they get all like bundled up there. The government are like, oh my god, there's criminality going on.
Is there criminality, or is that myth?
It's a big problem.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's because these people don't get like integrated into society, so they have to do certain things to like survive and get money because the government doesn't help them, I think.
You know, it was thousands of them coming, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That
Too
was
much?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We couldn't take care of them.
Sure. Do you think these people that are coming to Sweden are trying...
It's not because you couldn't take care of them. The government didn't take care of them. The government didn't... They just took them in without having a plan. like they've done in all the countries in the West. Oh, yeah, we need to take them in because obviously they're in their country. There's war going on there. We have to. We're a nation that looks after people. That's what Swedes feel. That's what Brits feel. You took them in, but you didn't have a plan. You can't just take people in that are not there because they want to be. They're there because they have to be. You have to have a plan to integrate these people. Or plan to repatriate them, which I'm guessing this $34,000 is. And I hope it's not forcefully. I don't know. I need to learn more about this scheme, but I don't know. I don't know if it's done for the right reasons. I feel like it's the government just washing their hands of the immigrants. Yeah, just give them 34 grand to leave. How about the ones that don't want to leave? There's going to be loads of them that don't want to leave. Do something about that. Use some of that money to help them. Use some of that money to integrate them. You've got working young people, immigrants, that could be contributing to Swedish society. Young, brilliant, young minds that could be molded and can be like, do you know what I mean? It took Britain a long, long time to kind of some of the immigrants to integrate. So the Caribbeans, I'm Caribbean. It's taken a long time, but the immigrants from the Caribbean, a lot of us are now very, very much integrated and very much part of British society. You'll see us on television. You'll see not just Caribbeans actually, just the immigrants from Africa as well. You see people like Idris Elba on your screen. You'll see certain figures who are now part of British society and have contributed. We have news anchors who have been on the screen for like 60 years who are black. You'll see businessmen and successful people because they were managed eventually to integrate. But it wasn't like that initially. And England made that mistake. Britain made that mistake initially, not integrating, the people that came from the Commonwealth nations. Sweden shouldn't be doing that in 2024. The mistake was made in 1960 when they brought all the people from the Caribbean to Britain and didn't integrate them properly. And you know what was easier for Britain back then? Was that the people that were coming from the Caribbean were already part of the Commonwealth. They were already part of the British. In fact, Jamaica was owned by Britain. It was a British island. Half the Caribbean was British already. They could already speak English. They could already conversate. You're bringing in people from countries that have no affiliation with Sweden, have no language skills in Swedish, have no cultural ties to Sweden. So Sweden should be doing the most to integrate these people in 2024, in 2012 when it started. Anyways, I'm not gonna... Yeah, let's continue. So I get very passionate about these things. Let's continue.
To integrate or not trying to integrate?
Oh, that depends on what culture they come from.
Okay.
Well, in the 80s or 70s, there comes a lot of Indians from Africa.
Okay.
They have integrated very well.
Very well. First of all, where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria. I came to study.
And again, sorry, India was part of the Commonwealth, British Commonwealth. So there's kind of an affiliation to the West. Anyways, Nigeria, okay.
Integrated very well.
Very well. First of all, where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria. I came to study for a PhD, Department of Economic History and International Relations.
So you've been here for 7 years now?
About 7 years now, yes.
Do you feel Swedish?
Not fully yet. I don't speak good Swedish yet.
Okay.
But the other thing also is that, the Swedish community is not as open as many other communities. The access sometimes is not there. You have friends that you come to maybe meet at workplace or in school and things like that. But I don't think it goes beyond that in most cases. The bond is not usually there like that.
Do you think as an outsider it's tougher to integrate here?
I think so.
What are your thoughts on...
That's interesting what he said. He said he feels like there's a barrier in place as an immigrant to integrate into society. You see, this is why it's very... Integration should be top priority in Sweden. There's an issue there. There's a one... See, he sounds like he actually wants to integrate into Swedish society and be a bit closer to Swedes. But there needs to be on both parts that effort. There needs to be the effort on the immigrant and there needs to be the effort on the Swede. As an immigrant, you need to learn Swedish. You need to learn how to speak the language of the nation. You need to learn about the culture. You need to really, really immerse yourself as much as possible. As a Swede, Swedes need to be more open in accepting people, I guess. I'm sure it's not every Swede. I'm sure you guys are not like that. I mean, you're watching my channel, so you must like people that are not from Sweden. But like, yeah, I think I don't know, there needs to be schemes in place to get immigrants and Swedes to work together and form a identity. It's going to take a long time. Saying that this is only just happening in about the last 10, 20 years, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. For Britain, it took a long time. But now Britain, there is a British identity. A British identity where you do have Indian British people. You have, I mean, our Prime Minister, he was Indian. The one that's just left, Rishi Sunak, he was Indian. British Indian. Idris Elba, he's British African. We have different races that are children of immigrants that are now British. They sound British. They're culturally British. Their etiquette is British. You will get to the point when you will have that in Sweden, but you guys should be doing it quicker because you've seen what other countries have done and how long it's taken them to do it. You just need to do it quicker. I'm so sorry, I'm talking so much. It's 6 minutes in, guys. If you're still here and you're listening to me ramble, thank you very much. I'm very passionate about this. Do you know why I'm passionate? It's because I actually love Sweden and I haven't been there, which is so bizarre. I find this really strange. I'm very obsessed with Sweden. I really love Sweden and I haven't been yet. I mean, I could actually probably... There's a chance that I will be one day a Swedish immigrant because I love Sweden. I might migrate to Sweden. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just passionate about this subject. And also, I'm a grandchild of an immigrant. My parents were born in England. They were first generation. I'm actually second generation British. So yeah.
To Sweden,
passionate.
Good or bad thing?
I really like it.
Okay.
My wife's from Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah. Multiculturalism has made Sweden a better place compared to what it was like when I was growing up. So I'm all in favor.
Do you think multiculturalism here in Sweden works?
It is a very tough question because it has pros and cons. I have seen so many people that think that multiculturalism is diluting the Swedish culture. However, what I know as somebody that is a researcher is that culture is not static. Culture is dynamic. There are some things that even in Sweden, that Swedish people used to do 50 years ago, that when people do now, they will consider to be appalling.
Sure.
And this is what it is. Things are always changing. Multiculturalism has some advantages in that. For example, somebody like me that came for a PhD, I will consider myself to be an expert, at least in my field. And that is an addition to Sweden. And there are so many that will bring their experiences, very smart people that can contribute to the system. At the same time, you have people that constitute nuisance within the system. These sort of people are not limited to the migrant community because you find very people with misdemeanor, so to speak.
Absolutely correct. Do you not agree? I agree too. He's saying you find people with misdemeanors. You find people not just immigrants, but also Swedes themselves as well that are in the system that maybe have been let down by the system, maybe have not been able to find a job as a Swedish person, are from a poorer background, who may have got into criminality and sell drugs and do, you know, bad things in society. That is not just an immigrant thing. That is a societal thing. And like he said, it's ever transcending culture and countries. It's ever transcending. What it means to be a Swede is ever changing, and it will always change. And multiculturalism is inevitable all around the world as we become this interconnected society, as we have the internet now, where we're so connected. Like, I am speaking to you, a Swede, all the way in Sweden. I'm not even in England right now. I'm in Thailand. Isn't that crazy? I'm British. I'm Black Caribbean. My grandparents are from Jamaica. I'm currently in Thailand, and I'm speaking to you in Sweden. You know, we're connected as a world. So multiculturalism is always going to happen, but there's always going to be a identity within a country that is historical. Britain has a historical culture where it was homogenous and all the people were Caucasian and European, and there's a rich cultural history there. And we need to respect that history regardless of our cultural background. But however, the culture that exists today, it's going to change. We cannot hold on to what once was 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000 years ago, because things change, and change is good. It's just change needs to be done in a way that is respectful of the cultural heritage of a country. Does that make sense? And if you want to be a national of a country, you have to respect all aspects of that. And I truly believe that. And I truly believe that now that I've done this, I'm doing this channel, I'm learning about all the Nordic nations, and I'm learning about Sweden, falling in love with Sweden and Sweden's culture and its history. I truly do believe integration is very, very important. All those aspects are really, really important, and you need to respect a culture to then be accepted within a culture and to be a part of it. Sorry, I'm just talking so much, but yeah, you know what I mean, right? Anyways, continue.
Our lives are so integrated with other countries, so I think small countries especially are really depending on migration. So
is it currently working?
Not as good as I think it can do.
Okay.
It's developed the society, I think, to learn from different cultures. I think we have a lot to thank multicultural for, actually, like the food cultural, it gives job opportunities.
Right. Yeah, I love multicultural Sweden. Yeah, I think it works. And I love diversity. Okay. I mean, the whole Swedish culture is based on immigration and migration from other countries and so forth. Yeah.
And if I were to move here to Sweden, could I become Swedish?
Yeah, I'd say so.
You think
so? Yeah.
All right.
But the thing is, that's just because you're American. If you were from another country, you wouldn't be welcome. But since you're American and highly educated,
what are you talking about?
That's
So if I came from Somalia, would I be welcomed?
If you were to be Somali, they would put you in like the ghetto. And
they would put me there, or I would move there because
you would move there, and since the financial issue in Sweden, it's not very good right now, you would have to learn Swedish, and then the society would look down upon you, or would look down on you.
You have the marginalization.
Yes, and then.
And you're thinking something.
No, I agree. I understand where he's coming from, and definitely there is an issue in Sweden that we have to work on.
The gun violence.
I'm happy you're talking about this because.
It's something that needs to be said. It's important to get light on, yeah. But it's easy to look at Sweden. Oh, such a beautiful country.
It's very pretty.
It is. I love Sweden. But I mean, you can tell I'm not typical Swedish, but I feel I fit in.
Okay.
It's about how you grow up.
Can we get a dance before we leave? Can we see you guys? There we go. There we go. The wonders of multiculturalism.